How's it going, everybody? We are going to be making a guacamole today. It's a very basic guacamole. Everybody pretty much knows how to make it, so we just wanted to show you how I do it. We're going to be making breakfast burritos, so this is going to be a good little accompaniment with it. We are also going to do a pico de gallo, so we're going to do that tomorrow. Which also goes with the breakfast burritos. So we're just gonna do this recipe real quick for you just to see how we do it. So the ingredients, we have about a half a tomato. We had a pretty big red onion, so it was just a quarter instead of a half, but if you make a really big batch, you could use a half. 1 jalapeno, 1 lime, about a half of a cup of cilantro, and this is 4 avocados. So I already took the pits out and took the shells off them. So we're just gonna start with the avocado. So when you're doing these, the easiest way is just make little strips. We're gonna mash them in the bowl, so you're just getting them started. So we're gonna just pretty much chop. So we're gonna do this real quick. You can modify this recipe. Sometimes I'll make humongous batch if there's a party or have a bunch of company coming over. This is gonna serve maybe like 4, so it'll be a good little side for quesadillas or breakfast burritos, etc., etc. We can just eat it plain with chips. We actually got chips too, so we can munch on it as an appetizer. So, there we go, a couple more. So like I said, we're gonna mash it all at the end, so you just wanna get it started. A little less work at the end. Everything else I can pretty much chop up pretty quick. That actually yielded more than I thought, so not bad. So. Next, we're going to put in the red onion. So I usually do this. I was trying to do estimate measurements. I was trying to estimate measurements for the video. Usually I do everything by eye. If I'm making pico de gallo or if I'm making guacamole, I'm just going to kind of just look at the amount of avocados that I'm using, and then from there just estimate all the other ingredients. All right, so you can leave this in as a dice. I'm gonna cut a little bit smaller. I like it a little bit more minced so you don't get big hunks of red onion. Flopping around here. So we'll go across a couple more times. So when I do the pico de gallo tomorrow, I'll leave the onions a little bit bigger. You want it more of a dice for pico de gallo, or if you're making salsa, you want your red onions to be more of a dice. This is a little bit more of a mince, a little bit finer of a chop. So, because you want it to be blended nicely. The guacamole, you don't want just big bites of one thing and not everything. All right, so it looks about good. So it's about a mince. And this, I think this is gonna be enough. It looks like a perfect amount, actually. So, all right. We're gonna do the jalapeno. So you can leave, you definitely wanna take the ribs out because that's bitter. But if you wanted to just kind of drag these off and take the seeds and put them in there, it's just going to be a little bit spicier. Sometimes I'll leave them in there if I want the avocado or the guacamole to be spicier. So this time we're going to take them out. So same thing. We're going to cut these about the same way as the red onions. So I'm just going to make little planks here. This way it's gonna be easier to mince up. There we go. If you wanted to put all these ingredients, just kind of like prep them and then throw them into a food processor, you can do that. I want it to be a little bit more rustic. So I don't want it so smooth that it looks like something that you bought at a grocery store. So that's about good. We could have done a little bit more in there and it still wouldn't have been super spicy. All right, so we got a fine little mince there. There we go. All right, just a few ingredients left. Actually, looked like a pretty good amount. So it's a good practice to do everything by eye. That way you just kind of get in the habit of knowing what ratio that you're going to be adding ingredients. So the tomatoes, I kind of want to, I'm aiming for the same kind of consistency as the red onion and jalapenos. And I want the acid of the tomatoes along with the acid from the lime. It just adds a really great flavor to it. A lot of people don't put tomatoes in their guacamole, and that's fine. You don't have to put the tomatoes in it. I love tomatoes in guacamole, and I think it belongs. So I want to cut it pretty small so it's broken down like a mince, because I want it to really be incorporated into it. All right, so that was the perfect amount. That was like not even a half tomato. So there we go. We'll get this juice in there too. I want that juice, that acid in there. The cilantro, I took it off the stems. This is about a half a cup. So this is gonna stick to my hand because I got tomato juice and avocado juice, etc. on there. So there we go. So this, just kind of rough chop it. You don't have to break it down too much. So it's gonna break down a little bit more when we mix up the guacamole. So that's it. Just good to go. This is gonna be the challenge, getting it in there and not having it all stuck to your hands. Last little bit. Try not to waste. All right, I'm gonna wash my hands just for a second. Be right back. All right, let's see. So the lime is the last thing. You can do 1 or 2 limes. We're gonna have this the next day, so I don't wanna put too much lime in it. I don't want the guacamole to break down too much. I want it to be rustic, I want it to be chunky. Roll your lime. It's the best way to release all the juices. Give it a good roll. Loosen up all that juice in there. All right, so that's all your fresh ingredients. Okay. Then that's pretty much it. This is kind of another thing that people do differently. People put cumin in there, a little bit of sugar. That's fine if you want that. It has the cilantro, so I don't really see the reason for cumin. And sugar, I don't really see the reason for putting sugar in it either. I know that's pretty common or popular for people to put in there. All I put in there for spice is a little bit of garlic powder. You can just do it to taste. So it wasn't even a tablespoon. And then just salt and pepper. Gotta have that. I'm using fresh cracked black pepper. So you can do that to taste. So salt's important because it's gonna break everything, melt everything together. Have the avocados break down a little bit. All right. Might actually have a masher. Might be a little easier, a little quicker. A little quicker. Honey, can you grab me a mashed potato masher? If we have one. So yeah, you saw how easy that was. Most important part is just, thank you. Most important part is just have freshest ingredients. You saw how nice the avocados looked in the beginning. So, just get the freshest ingredients. You saw how basic that was, so this was nothing like super fancy. I'm not gonna break this down too much. I just want it to be mixed up, mashed a little bit, and that's about it. So, because I want it to be rustic. So, that's about it. So, let me know when you try this recipe. If you're making tacos or whatever you're doing, let me know when you try it, how it turns out. And you can give a suggestion or make a comment below. There you go, there's the finished product. So we hope you enjoyed. We're not gonna do a taste testing because it's guacamole. We've all had guacamole before, so. So we hope you like this recipe, and just stay tuned. We're gonna be making the breakfast burritos tomorrow. And thanks for watching the video. Have a good day.